Hey guys, Codfud here. Today I'm going to go ahead and teach you how to make a mod using the Storm API for Stardew Valley. To get started with this, I'm going to go ahead and assume you know how to at least basically code in C Sharp and know how to install your own mods and can actually run the mods using the Storm API. If you don't know how to do those, there are tons of guides out there for the Storm part. You can go down to the Stardew Valley forums in the mod sections. There's a guide thread where you can see how to do that. Uh, in this mod, what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and get key presses, and we're going to go ahead and take those key presses and make something happen with those. We might change some health and stamina of the player maybe, and we're also going to use a basic config file to give the person who uses your mod some more control over it. So without further ado, let's go ahead and get started. So the first thing that we're going to do is you're going to create a new project. I've created the new project. Just go into a new project and a class library. Name it whatever you want. And once that's made, you should have something like this. And then I also renamed my CS file to my mod name, which is tutorial mod. And that's where I am at currently. After that, we're going to go to references, add reference. We're going to go down to browse, and then browse again at the bottom. Once we're here, we are going to navigate to our Steam, and then we are going to go to Steam Apps. We are going to go to Common, Stardew Valley. And this is if you've already installed Storm. If you haven't installed Storm, you need to install Storm to get some of these DLLs. So we're going to get the Storm loader. We're going to hold down Control, get newtonsoft.json.dll, and we are also going to get the Microsoft XNA framework.dll. So those are the three: Microsoft, Newtonsoft, and Stormloader exe. Once of those, make sure they're checked and click OK. And then at this point, we can start coding. So we're going to go to the very top and type in using storm.externalEvent and using storm.stardewvalley.event. And those will give us access to start making our mod. So we're going to go ahead and go above the class name, and we're going to mark it with mod, like that. Square brackets, mod, inside. And then we're going to go ahead and go into the class, and we're going to mark subscribe. And then we're going to make a method underneath that. It's just going to be a public void. And I'm going to call it init. You can name it start, initialize, initialization event, whatever you want to call it. It doesn't matter. As long as you put in this parameter, which is going to be initialize event. I'm going to name mine E. You can call it event, whatever. Doesn't really matter. And then as long as this is right. Once we're in there, we now have a mod. Congratulations. It doesn't do anything right now, but it is a mod. So let's go ahead and let's start using, because I like using their debug just so mine doesn't break or anything like that. So we're going to be using Storm, just Storm. And then we will say logging.debuglog.invoke. And we're going to say tutorial mod has been loaded. We're going to be excited about it. Alright. And before that, we are going to do stuff and load stuff. There we are. So we have to do stuff and load stuff before we actually say that it has been loaded. So in here in this init, we're going to initialize anything that we're going to need for the mod, like a config file or anything like that. So with that being said, we can go ahead and start working on a config. So we'll just make a new public var. It's going to be a public, and we're just going to call it config. It's going to say that it's using storms. We're not going to be using storms. We'll just name this config. And we're going to come down here, out of the class, make sure it's out of the class of tutorial mod, but still in this namespace. And we're going to name this public class config. And in here, okay, good. So it automatically changes to our config. Wonderful. In here, we are going to just have some things. So we're going to change the stamina and the health. So what we're going to need is a public int. We're going to call it increment. And we're going to do a get set of the increment. So this is going to say when we hit the button, how much do we want to increment it by, that kind of thing. And then we also want to do public, we're going to do an int, so we're going to set a max health that we can like set it to, so we don't go above this. And we're going to do the same thing for public int max stamina. Just do a get set as well. And then the last one that we're going to do is public boolean, just bool. And then we're going to call this should refill. So basically what we're going to do there is this should refill should be true, then we are going to go ahead and refill their health all the way up to the max health, and same thing with stamina. And so let's go ahead and get that started then. So what we're going to go ahead and do is start doing it. So var, and we're going to call this config location, and that is going to be equal to parent. What is this using? Hold on. I feel like I'm missing something. Oh, right here, tutorial mod. We have to do colon disk resource. I forgot about that. So we can get access to parent path on disk, and then we're going to do a plus path dot, not, we're just going to do path dot, and we got to be using system.io. Path dot, and then directory separator char, and then we're going to put our name of our mod, which is going to be tutorial mod, and then another path dot separator char. And I think that's all. Oh no, we also need the name of the file, which is config.json. There we are. And then here we are is if file.exists. I'm going to do config location. So if the file exists, or if it does not exist, I should say, so we're going to put exclamation mark in front of the file. Then we will say logging.debuglog.invoke the config file for tutorial mod was not found. Up, down, found. Attempting creation. And then we would do config equals new config. And then we will say config dot increment. We're going to do an increment of 10 by default. And we're going to do a max health of, we'll say 400. And config.max stamina is going to be equal to 750. The reason I got 400 and 750 is because that's like the max of like where the bar is going to hit the top of the screen. We're close to it. So yeah. And then we are going to go to File, dot write all bytes. I'm going to do config location, and then encoding, ding, and then .utf-8 is what we're going to use. .get bytes, and we're going to do JSON dot convert, and in the convert, sorry, it's just JSON convert dot serialize object, and I want to make sure that I have this right. So we're going to be using newtonsoft.json. And we're going to serialize the object. I spelled it right, and then we're going to pass in config. So this will save our config file. And then we will say logging.debuglog.invoke the tutorial. No, let's capitalize it. Tutorial mod config file has been generated. There we go. Now, if it does exist, I know that's going to bother some people. Else, the config is equal to JSON convert dot deserialize object. It's going to take the type of config, and it's going to be encoding .utf-8 .get string out of file .read all bytes from config location, like that. And then we could say logging.debuglog.invoke. We could say we could just say tutorial mod config has been loaded. And then we can go down there. So we're going to clean this up, make it look a little bit better. Keep all the stuff separate. There we are. So with that, we are done with the init method. We'll go ahead and get rid of that as well. So the next thing that we're going to do is work on our events. And with our event, we are going to have a key released event. So let's go ahead and subscribe to this event and make the method public void. And we're going to call this key released. And then we're going to use key released event. I'm going to name it E. There we go. Now, in here, we are going to have to think about some things. What are keys going to be? What is, what are we going to use? So I like just using the plus or the add symbol, that. And you can make it whatever you want. But for me, I'm going to use the plus to increase both. So what we're going to do is say if e.key is equal to keys. You can see that it wants to put all of this. So we're going to start using this. Actually, I'm going to use my shortcut. Using that. And you can see it up here. If it equals to keys.add, then we're going to go ahead and increase it. In fact, let's go ahead and set a minimum as well. While I think about it, int min health get set, and then we can go under stamina and do a min. Public int min stamina get set. There we go. Alright. And then we can go ahead and set it up here. Config dot min health. I'm going to set that to equal to 100. I think that's the default. I'm not sure. And then config dot min stamina is going to be equal to 100 as well. It's really short. We'll say 350. I don't know what the default is. I'm just using that. Yeah, so back to this though. Keys.add, then we are going to increase it. So we are going to go ahead and get the max health. So int max health. This is the current max health, by the way, equals e.localPlayer. So the event that was fired, and then the local player dot max health, and then int max stamina equals e.localPlayer dot max stamina. And then we're going to go if max health is less than config dot max health. Then we're going to go and increase the max health. So we'll say e.localPlayer dot max health equals max health plus config dot increment. We're going to take the increment and add it. If it goes over a little bit, fine. We can add a check and say, well, if this goes over, then just set it to the max health, but the config.max health, but oh well. No big deal. Then the next one, and then say if config dot should refill, and that should be like should heal completely. Then we are going to go e.localPlayer dot health equals e.localPlayer dot max health. There we are. And then now we do if max stamina is less than 2 config dot max stamina. Then we'll say e.localPlayer dot max stamina equals max stamina plus config dot increment. And if config dot should refill, then we are going to do e.localPlayer dot stamina equals e.localPlayer dot max stamina. There we are. And then here we have the whole add done. So all of this is done for add. And we could do the same for, let's see, for the subtraction. So we say else if e.key is equal to keys.subtract. Then we're going to do the exact opposite. So we're going to go ahead and just copy most of this because I'm a dirty copier. Here, and instead of max health, we're going to say min, or let's see. Yeah, so that's going to be max health. So these are going to stay the same, max health. And if it is, I don't know what I hit. Oh, I hit build. Darn. Darn these shortcuts. Yep. Okay. So if it is, the max health is greater than our min health, then we will decrease it. So we'll go ahead and do that. So max health equals max health. And instead of increasing it, we're going to decrease it. And then we can take out the should refill because it'll immediately lower the stamina. So we will do that. And change this. As long as the max stamina is greater than the min stamina. There we are. And there we are. So we can make it go up and down, up and down, up and down. Make sure everything is right. Oh, config that should refill equals true. We're going to say true. So by default, it's going to refill their health and stamina. So yeah, this all looks good. And yeah, so the last thing that we're going to have to do is, first of all, clean up the usings. There we go. See, I don't like it when I put systems inside with my like storm and stuff. That actually looks pretty good. Alright, so we're going to add a new file to our project. So we're going to right click our project, go to add, new item. It's going to be a text file there, and it's going to be called manifest.json. And once here, we're going to open and close brackets and put a space in between and hit space 4 times to do an indentation. And then the following is very important. Once you do those indentations, make sure it's 4 indentations and not just a tab. Otherwise it'll break. So then we're going to open quotes, and we're going to type in display name with a capital N, colon, space, open up quotes, and then this is going to be the name of your mod. And take note of this display name, because this is what you'll need your folder name to be when you install your mod. In fact, that's actually going to go like down at the bottom because I'm very picky. So then we're going to do the next one is going to be author, and that's going to be your name with a comma at the end. Make sure there's no tabs. So like mine put a tab in there. I had to put 4 spaces again. The next one's going to be version. And it doesn't matter what order this goes in. I'm just doing it like by size. And then space. I'm going to make a comma. This is going to be major minor, so 1.0. You could do any version way that you want. You could do another common practice is going to do major, minor, dot major patch, dot minor patch. So 1.0.0.0 would be your release. But that's completely up to you and what you prefer. The next one is going to be description. And this is just going to be press plus to increase health and stamina. Press minus to decrease. And then after display name, we are going to go to the last one, which is assembly file name. Remember, case sensitive here. And then the assembly file name is going to be your DLL name. And so this has to match up, otherwise your mod will not work. So if you need to build it, we need a comment there. Build your project. Go see where it built to. Like I already built mine by accident, and it is tutorialmod.dll down here. So we're good there. Make sure you spell it right, otherwise you will not be loading anything. And you'll just be sitting there, well, why isn't my mod working? Alright, so that's done. We can go ahead and close that, and we can go ahead and rebuild this. Build succeeded. Wonderful. So now we have to go to where it is. But first, we're going to open up our %app data % folder. And we're going to open up Stardew Valley mods. Now we're going to create a new folder. And this is going to be our tutorial mod folder. And in your display name, in your manifest file, this is what you're going to have to name your folder. So if you put a space in there, I don't think it's case sensitive, but I've always made it case sensitive just in case. Dashes, everything, spaces, make sure it all lines up. So in here, one thing that we're going to want is a copy of that manifest file and then the DLL. So mine's actually going to my documents, Visual Studio, projects, and then tutorial mod. Here's the manifest. So I'm going to go ahead and take that, put it in there. They go to bin, debug, tutorial mod. The rest of it I don't need. Just put the tutorial mod DLL in there. Voila. So then the next thing that we can do is I'm going to open up another file explorer here. Is go to our Steam directory and go to your common, and I mean your Stardew Valley file folder, and then load up Storm and see if it works correctly. I actually want the mod folder because I want to see if it creates the mod file, the config file. It did make the config file. Let's take a look at it. Increment 10, max health 400, min health 100, max stamina 750, min stamina 350. Should refill true. That's all the default, so that's good. Tutorial mod, the config file was not found. Attempted creation has been generated and has been loaded. So that's all good. We're going to go ahead and load up here. I love that glitch. Alright, you probably can't hear this, but it's super loud. There we are. So there, we're going to go ahead and hit plus. There we are. You can see there's no errors. I should have actually kept this down here. You could have seen mine increasing. So it's actually at like 270. And you can see it going down to 350. Minus, 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 minus. Okay, so we should actually do the refill on the oh nope. Okay, so that took care of it. It was just a graphical glitch. You can't see the health because I'm not actually like in combat. So let's actually go. I'm actually gonna have to load up a different game for that to get into the mine and like take some damage. So let's go ahead and do that just to demonstrate here. There we are. Load up my main file here, or my first file, I should say. Although my main file would have been a little bit faster. I haven't done much on those files, so. I just have a little wooden sword. Just gonna run over to the mine and test out our. Let's go ahead and increase it. And you can see my stamina increasing here. So that should be a good amount. As you can see, it kind of glitches behind the time and everything. And you can see it does persist going into the mine and stuff. I haven't gotten very far on here. Alright, so up, see it? See? We have a lot of health. And we can minus, 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 minus. All the way down. That's way down. Come on, hit me. Okay, so it keeps it. That's good. Oh, there we go. Hit plus and that resets it. There we are. So you can see that works. There we are. Very easy, very quick, and yeah. So there's how you create it. That's how you get some events. There's a lot of different other events that you can use with this. Let me show you some event. A lot of these. So like every time an item was added to a chest, asset load, bobber bar, chat message, choosing a level, you know, creating a ladder, crop growth event, you know, there's even an error event. That's for the system IO. Farmer changed, you know, anytime he changes anything, you can get it and set it to whatever you want. Anytime they take damage, you can just completely negate the damage. So you can be God mode, you know. You could say like E dot you could just do what we did down here, actually. So, like, if they hit G and it implements God mode, then they would, you could say, have a boolean and say that their max health on the damage event equal dot local player max health is, their health. What we do right here, their health equals the max health. So you can just be God mode. So that's something that you can do as well. Well, thank you so much for joining. And I hope this helps a lot of people on getting into the Storm API. And if you guys need more complex or more in-depth explanations, I will gladly make another video or a thread post explaining some things. If I did something wrong or there's a way to do it better, please leave a comment. Please tell me. And you guys have a wonderful day.